Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of October 16, 2022. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. And I think one of the biggest celestial occurrences to take place now this week involves Saturn. As we begin the week, Saturn appears to be standing still in the sky. And this is after a period of retrograde. Now, whenever it is that a planet appears to be standing still, it is, of course, an optical illusion based on that planet's relationship to the Earth and both of those planets' relationship to the Sun. But it is also, symbolically speaking, when a planet is closer to the Earth than it might otherwise be. And this is where that planet is considered at the height of its power for us here in terms of our lived experience. So it is Saturn now, as we begin the week, stationary in the sky, and at the end of the week, will officially go direct in the sign of Aquarius. Now, hear that again, going direct in the sign of Aquarius. Now, I say that because for Saturn, that is the last time I'm going to say that for a very long time to come. Well over 2 decades to come is the next time that any astrologer is going to say that to you. Because now that Saturn begins to move forward, Saturn will from this point on slowly begin to gain traction. And as Saturn gains traction, will move into the new year, will move into the month of March, and in the first part of March will leave the sign of Aquarius, not to return for well over 2 decades. And so this is one of those rare, important moments. And I think this may end up being one of the more important moments of 2022 for a lot of us out there. Whenever it is that Saturn goes direct, it is a chance to see and accept things as they are and to find a place of you finally being able to move forward with some truth having been made very clear to you. Now, that truth can be multi-layered. On the one hand, it is Saturn that speaks to our sense of morality and responsibility. Now, sometimes these words, right, they get kind of a bad rap, especially where it is that Jupiter can be a whole lot of fun, right? Jupiter is fun, expansive, it's the party. It is wherever that Jupiter is activating in your chart, that is exactly where we tend to feel a sense of possibility and a sense of excitement as well. And so Saturn stands often in contrast to this energy, in that Saturn is about an honest evaluation, making a diligent plan, and then following it through with diligency. And as a result of the consistency that you demonstrate over and over again, you have earned the gains that you made. It's not that you have these wild leaps forward that can happen with Jupiter and sometimes with Uranus as well, but rather this is about a more personal understanding, but it's also about feeling as if whatever gains are made, well, their time has come because you've put in the time, you've put in the work. Saturn also asks us to be honest about the sacrifices we've made, whether it was worth it and whether it is continuing to make those sacrifices as well. Now, those sacrifices can happen in all kinds of areas of life, of course, but wherever it is that perhaps we may need to engage this very lesson of responsibility, of maturity, that is where it may feel as if our ability to grapple with what is true may feel stressful in some way. And yet, once we come to that level of acceptance as to what is, we have a clearer understanding of how to move our lives forward in a better direction in a very practical way, ensuring that the lessons we learn, they really stay with us for a very long time to come, and help make us better. People who hold a greater sense of self-respect moving forward from here. Now, I also think of Saturn as incredibly important in the context of having an understanding that, in a very ultimate sense, you alone are responsible for your happiness. And happiness cannot truly come until we first find a place of acceptance, acceptance of how things are. We can change anything that we want, for the most part, of course. Very often, though, the universe likes to show us that, okay, just when you think you're all powerful, hold on, maybe you need a dose of humility there. And that can happen with Saturn as well, where you're being asked to prove and demonstrate what you have already demonstrated, and to root whatever you believe or whatever it is that you're claiming yourself to be in those very things that you've demonstrated over a period of time. However, this idea that you are responsible for your own happiness, it's about coming to a place of understanding as to what type of practical experience you want to have as you move through life. What is it that you desire to manifest? And where is it that you can take ownership for your part in what it is that you desire to make real? Now, here's the thing about any action that you will take. You can own your ability to be happy. You can own your power, the action that you can take. And you take those actions, right? So you actually do it. That's part of Saturn as well. But at some point, you get to a point where you have to trust that it's going to be enough. You have to trust that you've put in the time, you've put in the effort, and there comes this tipping point where you've got to turn this over to the universe, where you know you've done all it is that you can do, and now you're going to, in some ways, surrender and accept whatever results need to come, especially if they seem to be coming in their own time, and especially where that time feels not fast enough for us as well. It was the Renaissance Italian priest and astrologer Marcello Ficino who talked about Saturn as what he called the Christ principle. And he was somebody who actually was born with Saturn on his ascendant. And he talked about this in terms of this notion of faith without works is dead. He talked about how Saturn asks us to take action, and it's one thing to believe, right? That's Jupiter. Jupiter inspires, Jupiter expands. Jupiter holds the place of faith. But how does that faith change your actions? How does that faith lead you to do things differently so that you, in very real ways, live that faith as you move through your life and as you move through the world? That is what Saturn shows us, and that is also what Saturn asks of us as well. Now, of course, depending on what sign Saturn is in, will depend on what part of your chart Saturn is in as well, especially based on your sun sign or your rising sign. I am going to link the Saturn in Aquarius special horoscope that I did way back in 2020. It's right around the beginning of 2020 or maybe the end of 2019 that I recorded that. And I will post that below so you'll get a chance to be reminded of the area of life that you have had Saturn moving through, because this is going to be one of those final moments of acceptance, of cohesion even, where it feels like a lot of pieces come together and where it feels as if some important learning and lessons that you've been engaged in since 2020 now feel like they more fully are appreciated, more fully are revealed, and more fully are assimilated as part of whom it is that you now know yourself to be when you identify in a more self-respecting sense. It is an opportunity for you to recognize where there's some aspiration, but what is the reality of a situation? And that in turn might lead you to do things differently in a powerful way as well. Saturn going direct is always a turning point for a lot of us out there as we accept a reality, and especially if it is that we've gone way off far into the clouds, away from reality. Well, then the move of Saturn now can feel a bit jolting, It can feel as if very quickly we feel this thump as we are back down to earth in some way. But this really is necessary. You know, it is Freud who talked about the different layers of the psyche. And as part of the psyche, we have, for example, the id. And the id is our more instinctual, even hedonistic nature. And I associate the id with Mars. We also have a part of us that is very aspirational. That is the ego, whom it is that we most desire to be, whom it is we visualize ourselves to be, especially when we are in a positive frame of reference. That's Jupiter. But he also had what he called the superego. And the superego is what I correlate to Saturn. And it's this internalized morality, the internalized paternal figure that is forever telling us what is right and wrong, and even where we may feel an inner sense of judgment towards whatever it is that we may do or experience as we move through the world. Saturn being correlated with this idea of the superego, right? This higher sense of morality. Well, it's going to ask us if we're living true to some higher principles that we hold, some sense of right and wrong, some sense of what is true for us. Where it is that we are not honoring that, yes, Saturn moving forward can be that much more uncomfortable. And it can be in at least one area of life where we feel that sense of awareness that much more strongly. But whatever awareness does come, it represents a key point in a larger journey, again, that we've been in since 2020. And now with this, one of the most important final key moments of Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn will now gain momentum and march forward to leave the sign of Aquarius in March, not to return for well over 2 decades to come. Now, the other sign lit up this week in very important ways is another air sign, and that is the sign of Libra. Now, each element has to do with some different understanding. With the air element and air signs, it's about communicating and relating to others. And so we can see here with Saturn in Aquarius, an air sign, and with all that is happening in the sign of Libra, well, it does speak to how important people are going to feel and our connections to other people are going to be for us now, especially as part of our growth, our learning, but also the real experiences we're likely to have. I think given all that is happening with planets in the sign of Libra now, chances are this is going to be a time that feels a little bit like a roller coaster where we are considering other perspectives and we're seeing how amazing it can be to relate to others, but also seeing where it is that perhaps it makes us very aware of our own feelings of powerlessness. In some extreme examples, this might also be a time where if certain relationships have power imbalances, all of that can feel like it stirs in a very strong way now. And so what's taking place in the sign of Libra? Well, look, on Monday, we are going to have Mercury leave shadow. And so this is exciting because this is the end of the larger Mercury retrograde season. It is going to be right around the beginning of the week that Mercury will be where he was way back, right around September 10th. And so whatever's happening in our life as we begin this week, chances are it will help us to see what was taking place for us way back on September 10th differently in some way. Outside of that, though, it is about the Sun and Venus. Venus is the ruling planet of the sign of Libra, so already it's at home here, heightened in its power. And then you add to it the Sun traveling so close with Venus as well. Well, it does suggest that in many ways, these energies end up magnifying each other. It is going to be at the end of the week that we will have Venus and the Sun meet with precision, a conjunction. And this is where I think a lot of things that may feel like a roller coaster as we move through the week start to feel a lot more clear. Considering that it is this conjunction that perfects just before we have Saturn moving forward, well, I think those energies will end up working together in their own way, in that they are energies that say, here's the clear truth. Now, these are different types of truth. The truth of the Sun that is rational and prophetic, the truth of the heart of Venus, but then also the truth of what is being demonstrated of Saturn All of that comes together in very powerful ways for us as we move to the end of the week. Okay, so what is this journey that the Sun and Venus are on? How are they receiving the energy of other power players in the sky? Well, it starts right out of the gate. It is going to be over the course of Sunday and Monday that first the Sun and then Venus are going to connect with Neptune. Now, this is a type of alignment that astrologers call a quincunx. And I understand this as energy that asks to be integrated in very surprising ways and ultimately comes up quickly, but also finds resolution quickly as well. With Neptune, we are looking at a sense of things not being as clear as we may like, feeling as if the outcomes we desire are elusive in some way. There may even be some feeling of disappointment. But again, this is energy that comes and goes rather quickly as we are beginning the week. This is not energy of clarity. In fact, I would say if you're having a one-on-one exchange with another person, there may be some confusion that plays out, whether that is a platonic alliance or whether that is a connection that is more heart-oriented or more romantic-oriented, especially as is the case with Venus. And so, yes, this can be an energy that has two people in an interaction, but seeing that interaction very differently. It is once we navigate a little bit further over Monday and Tuesday that the Sun and Venus will both connect in supreme harmony with Mars. Now, Mars is in an air sign as well. So we can see here air energy, communication energy, social energy is very lit up with a week like this. And so it is Mars that brings this sense of energy and excitement and enthusiasm and passion as well. In fact, this energy can be so passionate in how it is that it helps us to feel that much more connected to other people. But also, this is about feeling stirred. This is about feeling determined, feeling awakened, feeling excited about what could be and what could be ahead. So this energy is one that does bring with it and suggest happiness, but also empowerment as well. We are taking action from a state of confidence and a state of determination. Whether that determination is to actually be in a moment and act from that moment, or whether that determination is more about some outcome we desire, well, chances are we are going to feel very lit up at this time, very excited about the possibilities. It is over the course of Wednesday and Thursday that we have a more difficult window of this week, and that is because Pluto will square the Sun and Venus. And I find this energy so fascinating because whereas the trines of Mars, the supremely harmonious energy of Mars, is all about empowerment, it is this energy of Pluto that can make us aware of powerlessness. It can make us aware of where it is that perhaps we feel that certain alliances are not necessarily fair, and especially where there are power dynamics at play, especially where there are hierarchies at play, especially where there is a sense of status differences in some way. All of that may stir very strongly for us in our own unique ways right around Wednesday and Thursday. Now, this is energy that can feel rather tense, but what it asks us to do is take action. It asks us to recognize, yes, the limits of our power, but then to also, in the process, recognize the power we do have. Where is it that we desire meaningful transformation? But also a specific person within a specific situation as well. If you feel like this person is not being fair, if you feel like there is even a level there of manipulation, well, that isn't going to sit right with you. If it feels as if there's so much stirring now within, that is energy to channel towards the transformations you desire, while knowing that we really have no control over other people. Other people are going to do exactly what it is that they want to do in light of their unique circumstances. And all we can do is practice acceptance. That is the position of power for us now. But also to own our own power is a position of power. You know, as I was looking at this sky, there was something very specific that I thought of, a memory that came up for me. And so I'm going to share this. It was fascinating to me. Maybe it'll help somebody out. Okay, so about 2 years ago, I left a 7-year relationship. And that was really hard, right? It was a huge life change, but now I can look back and see how I learned so much about myself through that journey, and I continue to. And I can look back now and realize how much richer and more amazing my life is as a result of facing that fear and going in a different direction. But of course, that's a transition. It doesn't happen right away. And so after I left, I went to a different city. It was in the middle of the pandemic. And for about a month, I was really sad. And then I met a dude, and this dude was in my life for about 8 weeks, and he turned out to be my rebound, right? Bless the rebounds. We all need it, right? They rebound us back to ourselves sometimes in some ways as well. But we also feel those connections that much more powerfully. And so I am going to prove to you that this guy was a late degree Gemini sun. So he actually had a 29-degree Gemini sun. And he had Mercury there as well. I think Mercury was at 27 degrees of Gemini. And so we were talking. I'd known this person for a couple of weeks at that point. And I said something to him, and I forget what I said, but of course, you know, I'm so vulnerable, and I didn't realize it at the time, but you know, I was looking for some stability or someone to be a support for me. And so I said something to him, or I think he said something to me, but it was sort of to the effect of, you know, how do you feel about me? Or do you think that I respect you? Or something along those lines. And I remember his response, the most 29-degree sun in Gemini response ever. And his response was, look, you can feel whatever you want to feel. Mira, tú puedes sentir lo que tú quieres sentir, right? That's in Spanish, he said it. And what that means is like really what he was saying. And we ended up talking about this a few times in the weeks ahead. But really what he was saying is, especially in the first weeks or months of you meeting somebody, it really is about you bringing the experience you want. It really is about you coming with an understanding as to what it is that you're hoping for. And that will color how you are perceiving this other person. It doesn't mean that that's actually the other person involved here. And that's so much, especially in those early months of getting to know somebody, so much of that really is about us moving towards the experience that we desire. But as we talked about this further in the weeks ahead as well, I remember coming to this understanding that if I am going to go and feel whatever I want, then there's a couple of implications here. One is that I know that I can make the choice to feel it. And because it's me, because I take ownership for it, whatever this person decides to do, I will be okay. So that was a huge leap forward in my emotional growth, to have that understanding that really, I have said for a long time, people will do all kinds of things for all kinds of reasons. And ultimately, it really has nothing to do with us. It has to do with them. Well, yes, it becomes that much more true when we are proactive with the choices we make and we're conscious with what it is that we desire to experience. And so that was one layer of understanding as well, that if I take responsibility for my emotional reactions, for the fact that I'm putting myself on a path and making choices, then I don't hold somebody else responsible for those choices. But then I also give them a whole lot of agency as well, not to have whatever they do be something that reflects on me. And so all of this was very empowering. And then there's that other layer where this depth of understanding came in, that other people may have all kinds of reactions or experiences where it comes to them getting to know me. And that's okay as well. They can choose what experience they want to have. And so this was an important lesson for me that took place, but that doesn't mean it wasn't uncomfortable in the moment. I was reminded of this not only by looking at the sky this week, but very recently I posted an interview that I did with Sabrina Monarch on the astrological Eros and Psyche, the asteroids Eros and Psyche. And I would really encourage you, if you are so inspired, to watch that interview. It was one of those interviews that ended up meaning so much to me. It really was so profound. And as part of this interview, Sabrina was talking about how this relationship, this mythological relationship between Psyche and Eros. And so what happens is that Eros comes to Psyche and she is receptive to Eros. And Eros becomes this key to a portal. And that portal is where we feel, and she felt, most alive, most inspired. She felt an awakening that wasn't just physical, but it was emotional and spiritual. And it truly is a feeling of full engagement of life. Now, what happens if that person that we perceive as the key to that portal no longer wants to be as available to us, or maybe doesn't want to be available to us at all? Is no longer willing to just allow us to use them as a key again and again at our whim, right? These are all these possibilities that happen, but ultimately, this is the very intimate understanding of how it is that relationships are an engagement in powerlessness, and they can be an engagement in all kinds of very powerful emotions we may feel, but ultimately, this is what it is to be human. This is part of what it is to be alive. And so I loved that she talked about this myth, because I thought about this very lesson that I learned so long ago. This idea that looking to somebody else to hold the key to whatever it is that we wish to experience is a really great way to put us in a state of powerlessness, to put us in a state of feeling very overwhelmed. But we have an opportunity here, especially with this sky, and especially with those Pluto squares. And the opportunity is to own the fact that we are having the experience that we desire, and to own the sweetness of powerlessness, in finding acceptance of where it is that we don't have control over another. We're able to take that much more responsibility for what it is that we actually wish to walk, what it is that we actually wish to experience. And we're able to be more honest with ourselves as to whether or not this person is the right key to that portal, or maybe it's a different type of portal, not necessarily the erotic portal that Sabrina spoke about, but a different type of portal can happen at this time as well. Now, another layer with which I think a lot of this lesson is going to come up, not only because of those Pluto squares, but the fact that we are going to have Eros and Psyche, the asteroids, traveling close to Saturn, Saturn stationary. And so the very real lessons in how we may use other people as portals, how we may imbue other people with all kinds of attributes when ultimately we are in a stage of knowing them that has to do with us deciding what we want to experience. Well, the reality of where there may be a disconnect, the reality of whether or not this person is a good key, and whether or not this is a good portal, perhaps a good portal for us, perhaps an effective portal for us. Well, this may be a lesson that stirs for a lot of us at this time. What I love about this week for us, well, there's so much here. It's a powerful astrological moment. I am going to say the fact that Saturn is going direct, I think there's going to be a massive reality check moment for a lot of us out there. Very quickly, it is like we are back on Earth. And especially where it is that has been a place we have resisted, where it is that we have resisted accepting the truth or reality of a situation. Well, that is where that sense of awakening can feel especially strong, or maybe even for some of us out there, uncomfortable. This may show up in terms of our attractions and connections to other people romantically as well, because the asteroids Eros and Psyche are not far away from Saturn, and you add all that Libra energy playing out now as well. Well, it does look like we are understanding ourselves and who we are in relation to other. That doesn't mean at any time we should take someone else's opinion of us as our own opinion of us. But what it does mean is we can use whatever we experience with others to inform us about what type of people maybe we want to be. And as we come to that clarity, the great thing is with a week like this, we actually have an understanding of what that'll look like, how to demonstrate that. And in taking that action, we cultivate meaningful self-respect that forms truly the foundations of who we know ourselves to be going forward from here. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up. All of it means so much. I'm so grateful for it. And of course, if you want to know how all this wonderful stuff this week speaks to you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with choose your membership rate. Now, higher tiers get you things like all access passes to Synchronicity University events, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below, and I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity University presents some truly incredible programs that are coming up this November. These are not to be missed, and I'm so excited to have this incredible quality of astrologers here. And right now, for a very limited time left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class, an unheard of rate for some of these superstar, incredible astrologers that are coming to Synchronicity University. Let's start with my friend Nadiya Robles. She is someone you've seen on this channel a lot, and she is somebody who is going to be teaching a 5-part course just on the part of fortune. She's going to encourage you to understand this symbol with greater depth, with greater nuance, to examine fortune differently as well as you look for it in the chart, and so much more. I interviewed her recently about this, and previously there was a class about the part of fortune taught by her as well in a more recent speaker series. And so now students love that so much. I tapped her right away to say, hey, will you come and teach a full 5-part class? And she really is the perfect person to teach this. She has taught on the part of fortune literally around the world. When I met her so many years ago, it was at a conference where she was teaching on the part of fortune as well. So I hope that you'll check this out right now for a very limited time. It is choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class for 2 weeks left to go, right up until Halloween. I hope that you'll join us for this incredible 5-part course with my friend Nadiya Robles on the part of fortune. Link is in the description below to learn more or sign up now at synchronicityuniversity.com. Synchronicity University presents the one and only YouTube superstar, Stormie Grace. I absolutely adore Stormie Grace. I think she is one of the best, most talented, but also most loving astrologers out here. And I love that she's coming back to Synchronicity University. Now, you may or may not know that Stormie also has a PhD in business as well. She taught part 1 of Astrology Meets Business at Synchronicity University earlier this year. Students absolutely loved this. They started asking for more astrology and business classes. And so now here she is. She's coming back to teach part 2. You can take part 2 as a standalone, all on its own, or to build on part 1. If you didn't get part 1 before, as a very special offer right now, you can actually get part 1 with choose your tuition rate for as low as just $5 a class. You can buy that first packet when it is that you're signing up for the second, if you are so inspired and if you didn't have a chance to learn at the beginning. But that's only going to be offered for about 2 weeks on the lead up to this choose your tuition rate ending on Halloween. So I hope that you will check this out. Whether it is that you have an astrology business, a tarot business, or as Stormie said in the interview I did with her, you're selling lipstick. Really, it's about you using an understanding of your connection to the sky towards your business success and towards your prosperity as you uniquely define it. This is a powerful course to take, taught by a powerhouse of an astrologer. It is Stormie Grace. Back at synchronicityuniversity.com. Choose your tuition rate on for just a little time left, as low as just $5 a class. Links are in the description below, or visit and sign up at synchronicityuniversity.com. Synchronicity University presents a truly incredible November speaker series, and you've got just a couple weeks left to choose your tuition rate, as low as just $5 a class. Literal days left to learn these incredible topics from truly incredible astrologers that I'm so excited to tell you about and to present to you as well at synchronicityuniversity.com this November. Now, I already mentioned Sabrina Monarch. I loved talking to her. She helped me to see things in my chart differently, as you will see in that interview, and I've already started incorporating these new asteroids, Eros and Psyche, in a way that I hadn't before into my practice. And so this is an interview to watch, but also this is a class to take. If you are so inspired to bring that greater depth of understanding of portals and how people can be portals and what you feel about it and so much more, she is absolutely illuminating. So Sabrina Monarch is going to be teaching on the astrological eros and more. Akila Moon is coming to Synchronicity University, and she's going to be teaching on another type of love, lust, and desire. And this has to do with understanding Mars and Venus in your chart, their sign placement, their house placement, and what that could mean for you and your understanding of love and lust and so much more. It is also going to be my friend Alejo Lopez, who is coming as part of the November speaker series. And he's going to be looking at aspects that do denote that there can be pressure, but how that really helps you to create diamonds for yourself and in your life. It's the forging of diamonds that hard aspects represent. So how do you tap into the power of difficult aspects in your chart? Well, Alejo is a wonderful person to help guide you through understanding your chart more deeply from an understanding of looking for the diamonds within it. I absolutely love that. My friend Adama Cisse is going to be teaching a definitive workshop on Lilith, Black Moon Lilith. Now, she has been teaching on, speaking on Black Moon Lilith for so many years. Her actual YouTube channel is called Lilith Astrology. So she feels such a strong connection with Black Moon Lilith as well. I hope that you'll check this out. It'll be so illuminating to understand your own Black Moon Lilith in your chart differently, more profoundly in some way with Adama's insights. And my friend Tatiana Belashova is going to be talking about planets dancing on the ascendant. So understanding planets on your ascendant can be very powerful to understand your appearance and how you present yourself and the qualities that you hold most closely, but also the qualities that you are perceived at. She talks about the circumstances just before or after your birth and so much more. She has been a student at Synchronicity University for years. She is positively brilliant. I have called her my co-teacher in classes as well. And so now I'm just so happy that she is coming to Synchronicity University to teach a class that I know a lot of people are absolutely going to love, understanding planets on your ascendant and more. And so join us for the November speaker series of Synchronicity University. As low as just $5 a class with choose your tuition rate for what, like 2 weeks left as we start this week. So really not a lot of time left for that. But it is that choose your tuition rate that makes these classes so much more accessible to so many more people. And I'm so proud of that as well. And proud to present such incredible astrologers to you and incredible topics as well. So go to synchronicityuniversity.com to learn more and sign up now. Links are in the description below. And thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your trust, all of it. I'm truly so grateful for it. I love being back here with you. I love moving through my week and looking at the aspects and being like, wow, I could talk about this and I could talk about that. It's just so much fun to return to the joy of it. And thank you so much to all of you who have been so loving and supportive of me stepping away for just a little bit of a split second and now being back as well. Thank you for greeting me with so much love and enthusiasm. I never take it for granted. I know that it is a blessing to have your trust, and just thank you so much for that. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.